Is Donald Trump just being misunderstood all these years? Let's analyze.
One thing I can promise you this: I will always tell you the truth.
We won in 2020 big. You know, we've already solved inflation. We've solved prices. Oil is way down. Energy is way down in the United States.
We built the greatest economy in the history of the world. Best unemployment numbers, best everything. And I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our globe. You know, the wall is being built, and we're doing 10 miles a week. It'll be completed very soon. As you know, we've completed the wall. They may want to expand it. And Mexico is paying for the wall, by the way, in case you had any question. We won Georgia easily. We won it by hundreds of thousands of votes. Actually, I won Wisconsin. 12 years ago, I was named Man of the Year of Michigan. Can you believe it? Long before I thought about it. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. This is going to go away without a vaccine. It's going to go away, and we're not going to see it again. I went through the whole Mueller hoax. They did this big report. I was totally exonerated.
Did you actually totally exonerate the president?
No.
After watching all of that, there is really only one fair question to ask. What if we have been looking at this the wrong way the entire time? What if Donald Trump is not misleading the public at all? What if he is actually telling the truth, consistently, confidently, and without hesitation? And the real problem is that most people simply cannot keep up with what he is saying.
Mr. President, after 3.5 years, do you regret it all the lying you've done to the American people?
All what?
All the lying, all the dishonesties.
That who is that?
You have done. Tens of thousands.
Please.
It sounds unlikely, it sounds uncomfortable, but if we are going to be honest, we have to at least consider the possibility, because millions of people do believe him.
He's not fake. He's upfront. You know what he's thinking. He tells the truth as far as, you know.
Not occasionally, not selectively, but consistently. So, either they are seeing something the rest of the world is missing, or something else is happening entirely. Now, there are others who see it very differently. Critics have spent years pointing out statements that do not hold up under scrutiny, sometimes within minutes. Estimates have been made, claims have been counted, and the conclusion for many is simple. They believe Donald Trump says things that are not true, often, and without correction. So now we are left with two completely different realities. In one, he is speaking truth and being misunderstood.
These fact checkers, they'll check facts with me, and I'm like 99% right. And they'll say, and therefore, he lies.
In the other, he is saying things that do not align with reality over and over again.
We got $28 billion from China that went to our farmers because they targeted you. We tariffed China a lot of money, and they paid for it. You didn't pay. You know, the fake news likes to say, you don't pay. They paid.
Both cannot be true at the same time, and yet somehow both exist, side by side, in plain view. So, which is it? Is this a case of a man whose message is too complex, too fast, or too unconventional for most people to process in real time? Or are we watching something else entirely? Because when you step back and remove the emotion, one detail becomes impossible to ignore. This pattern does not change. It does not slow down under pressure. It does not adjust after being challenged. It continues with the same level of confidence, no matter the circumstance. And that is where this story really begins. Because people do not operate this way by accident, not at this level, not under this kind of scrutiny, and not for this long. Behavior that consistent usually points to something deeper, not just a habit, but a method, not just a mistake, but a system. To understand that system, we have to go back to where it was first shaped.
The Iranian situation is a case in point. That they hold our hostages is just absolutely and totally ridiculous.
Long before the presidency, before the constant media cycle, before the global spotlight, Donald Trump was building a name in an environment where perception often carried as much weight as reality. New York City in the 1970s and 80s rewarded confidence, rewarded visibility, and rewarded those who could control the narrative around themselves. In that world, the person who spoke with certainty often set the tone, even when the details were still being questioned.
You know, some of the most dishonest people in media are the so-called fact checkers.
Over time, that approach did not disappear. It evolved. Through business, media, and eventually television, the same pattern continued to appear. Strong statements, delivered with certainty, followed by attention. And in many cases, that attention became the real objective. Because once the spotlight is secured, the conversation shifts. It is no longer just about what was said, but about who controls the discussion that follows. By the time Trump entered politics in 2015, that system was already in place. What changed was not the approach, but the scale. The audience grew larger, the scrutiny grew sharper, but the pattern remained the same. Statements were made, they were challenged, and yet the delivery never changed. No hesitation, no consistent pattern of correction, just continued momentum. At this point, it would be easy to say this is all strategy, that it is designed to control attention, dominate headlines, and keep the focus exactly where it needs to be. And in many ways, that explanation fits. But there is one problem with it. Strategy usually adapts. It evolves. It adjusts when pressure increases. This does not. It continues in the same way, regardless of outcome. And that raises a different kind of question. What if the reason this continues is not just because of the person speaking, but because of the people listening? Because if something truly did not work, it would stop. If constant contradiction actually removed influence, it would fade. But that is not what we have seen. In many cases, the attention grows stronger.
Things get worse before they get better.
I think it's working in a process and it's going to smooth out in the end.
You know, it's a 4-year term. That's like, give them a chance to actually make the deal, get it all settled.
The reactions grow louder, and the cycle continues, which suggests that whatever this is, it is being reinforced, not rejected. And that brings us to a possibility that is far less comfortable than simply calling it truth or falsehood. That this pattern exists because it works within the environment it is being used in.
That Trump should be president.
What are the 3 branches of government?
The 3 branches of government, legislative.
An environment where attention moves faster than verification, where repetition can outpace correction, and where people are more likely to defend what aligns with them than question what contradicts them. In that kind of environment, something unusual begins to happen.
I voted for Trump in 2016, I voted for Trump in 2020, and I voted for Trump this year. I have followed him, his economy, his business.
The standard for truth shifts, not completely, not all at once, but gradually.